Hey guys, Luke Nestler from the Moto Marketing Podcast. I want to tell you about the promotion that RacerX is running from now until January 6th. Look, if you subscribe to RacerX, renew your subscription, you're going to get access to the 50 years of Pro Motocross Collector's Edition calendar, right? These are limited while supplies last. You get a lot with this offer. I want to tell you a little bit about what you do get. So in addition to the calendar, you're going to get 1 year subscription, or obviously, like I said, the renewal. 2021 limited edition celebrating 50 years of Pro Motocross, a $25 Rocky Mountain e-gift card, a digital subscription to RacerX. For a friend, it's an $80 value. It's $30. Look, this calendar is, man, it's super cool. I'm flipping through. I've already seen photos of Doug Henry. We've got Mark Bomber Barnett. Let's see, what do we got in March? My birthday is in March. So, Jeff Ward, Jeff Stanton battle. Really cool stuff. Limited edition. I've got one for the office. I'm going to hang it up right after this episode, and I encourage you to jump on it as well. Go to racerxonline.com/moto marketing. Subscribe today. Hey, I want to tell you about Moto Brand. Moto Brand was founded during the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic when the sport that we live for was taken from so many of us, whether it's cycling or moto. Waking up on a Saturday morning knowing that your local track was closed, there would be no Supercross, and for many of us that we couldn't even hit our favorite local riding spot or trail with our crew. We were forced to be reminded of how much the sport of moto and cycling truly means to us. Moto Brand represents a collection of individuals that not only ride, but live to ride. It's what we think of at all times of the day, and sometimes at a detriment to your relationship with your significant other. It's for those that look at their motorcycle or their bicycle as part of their identity. Maybe it's the way that you bond with your son or your daughter or your spouse. Perhaps it's your way to blow off stress of your day job, or even, hey, it is what it is, maybe even it's your marriage. This sport is more than just a sport. For many of us, it's a way of life. It's what keeps us ticking. It's what keeps us living. Moto Brand was created for a purpose, to be more than just a shirt that you can throw on in the morning, but these designs represent who you are and what you stand for. So I encourage you to head over to themotobrand.com, check out our collection. We have a pedal collection and we have a throttle collection, and there are more designs to come that stand for something. So head over to themotobrand.com and we'll see you there.
Welcome to the Moto Marketing Podcast, presented by RacerX, the podcast for moto industry professionals, entrepreneurs, and riders. If you want to grow your brand and business in today's digital-first world, you have to know how to turn a stranger into a fan, turn a like into a customer. You have to know how to turn attention into dollars. This podcast is dedicated to keeping you in the know on real marketing tactics that work in the moto world so that you grow your business and help grow the sport. Get ready to learn from the very same marketing experts trusted by RacerX, Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, GNCC, and NBC Sports. They'll help you navigate the world of digital marketing for your moto brand. This is the Moto Marketing Podcast. Presented by RacerX.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast. We've got a great guest lined up for you today, somebody that I'm excited to have on the show, a brand that is one of the most iconic brands in the sport of moto is FMF. We've had Little D on the show, and I wanted to bring somebody that I've had the pleasure to get to know and to work with quite a bit as we do a decent amount of work for FMF. I have Alex Delapena on the show today to talk about his role, how he got to where he's at in FMF, and some of the things that he's responsible for at the company to ensure that the brand identity, the brand that we all hold, FMF, and how valuable of a brand it is. What role does he play in making sure that that happens day in and day out? So Alex, welcome to the show. I appreciate you joining us today.
I'm really stoked that you guys had me. I'm appreciative, thankful.
Man, I always like to just start with, the simplest of questions, and that is, how did you get to where you're at today? As far as, were you a moto fan? What got you into the sport of moto to where now you're working in one of the premier companies?
I'll say this: my path was completely different than probably most people's in this industry.
Okay.
So very simply put, is I loved moto when I was a teenager. First of all forms of racing. all like doesn't matter what it was. It just had wheels and it was fast and loud. I wanted to watch it and race or watch it at least, and if I could afford to do it. My mom and stepdad bought me a dirt bike when they lived in the desert for 1 year, and I said I would only move there if you buy me a dirt bike. Didn't know how to ride one yet. Lived there for 1 year. They since moved again, and I moved back with my dad in Dana Point, California, where it's kind of like the surfing kind of hotbed in those days, mid 80s. My brother went on to become a professional surfer during those times, and I kind of got into. I grew up in the surf culture, which in Southern California, it's an apparel culture as well. There were brands like OP, Gotcha, whatever, that were really like across the country. But that's, I guess, how I initially got into apparel was just liking it a lot, being around it a lot. Yeah. My brother would surf for pretty prominent brands, and then I went to culinary school right out of high school. I loved cooking. I had a certain skill set that culinary skills have. My brother retired from surfing, and then he said he wanted to start an apparel brand. I didn't want to be cooking for the rest of my life, and but I loved apparel. And so from that we started a brand called Ezekiel in 1992. And I didn't know how to design. I just knew I had this kind of same skill set to work from cooking to design, and just started doing it, just started learning it. And back then there was no such thing as this is action sports or this is whatever. It didn't exist.
Yeah.
So that was entry to me in design into the apparel business as a whole. Through the course of, over 25 years, I've always loved, even when it's doing stuff for Ezekiel, and we did outerwear as well called Blonde outerwear. I would name jackets or something like that after Formula One tracks, and the people in the surf industry are like, what does this mean? What is a MOA? What are these names? And I just was something that I loved to do. I loved watching racing. I loved everything about it. So through the course of a long career, about 6 years ago, I saw something pop up for creative manager at FMF Apparel. And I reached out to a couple friends that I know that know Donnie. And I just said, hey, I'm interested in this. And not because of moving up the ladder in a sense, I just went, this brand has been around my whole life. So I just want to work on a brand like this. And so that's when I came on.
How long have you been at FMF now?
It's coming on five and a half years, something like that.
Yeah. So I guess, when you came in, so you're talking what, 2014, 2015 then, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking back to like I don't want to say the golden era, because I think every person has their definition of the golden era, but the days when, Chad Reed and Carmichael and Stu were flying privates, all these races, and there was just so much money in the sport. I think that was on the tail end of that kind of morphing into what it is today, which is still it's a big time sport, it's a successful sport, but there's not as much money in the sport as there was. Were you following racing like when, the McGrath era and the Carmichael era and the Reed, like did you know those guys and you were following those guys, or did you kind of like dirt bikes, got out of the sport, and then you're working in it? How did that work?
I never stopped watching dirt bike. If I was a dirt bike race on, I watched it.
Yeah.
In Anaheim's a 30-minute drive from my house.
Right.
We went to Anaheim. Like, whether or not I even knew like the younger guys, sure. I definitely knew all the top guys. I knew Carmichael, I knew McGrath. McGrath, when I was in high school, went to a track where he would test that. And I remember just thinking, this guy's bigger than anything I've ever seen. And there was in San Clemente, I went to Dana Point High School, and then south of that is San Clemente. San Clemente is so close to, if you go farther south, you're, an hour and a half drive and you're in Mexico. So there's a lot of people that in San Clemente that surf or do that sort of thing, but also ride dirt bikes. I mean, Johnny Campbell's from here.
Yeah.
There's a long list of people, but he's just he's a friend too, but he's just one of the people that's is around. It's close to us as well. So if people wanted to go watch go to Anaheim or go to one of the outdoor races, we go.
Yeah.
We just go watch it.
Yeah.
So
talk to me a little bit about that, because I'm an East Coaster. I remember the first time I was able to make a trip out to California, and I'm in the hotbed of moto, and I'm seeing the signs on the interstate of towns that I know this rider lives in and this rider trains in. And for me, it was this like weird, surreal experience, because I'm like, man, this is where it happens. Like, oh, this is the town that FMF is in. I remember when I was actually on vacation in La Jolla with my wife, when I was having a conversation on the edge of a cliff looking at the ocean with Donnie. I'm on a call with him, and we're having conversations about working together. And it was weird for me. I'm like, man, I'm literally 20 minutes, 30 minutes from their office. I'm talking to them about potentially doing some work with them. It was weird for me because I didn't grow up in the hotbed of moto. So for those that are like me, that are fans of the sport, but they're mid United States, East Coasters, what is that? What's it like being in the sport or a fan of the sport and literally living in it? Is it just, do you get used to it, or is it weird driving by the test tracks and going to work every day at a brand like FMF? I mean, what is that like for those that might not know?
Well, first, let me just start by this. Let me just start by saying this, is that I'm still a fan of the sport. If I see certain riders that I haven't met yet, or younger ones or whatever, I'll fan out. I do. Like I'm still at that point. I'm still a kid in terms of that. So even though maybe, we show up at photo shoots at the Star Racing test track or something like that.
Sure.
You get relationships. You become not numb to it, but it's just kind of every day. Not every day, but it's a little less special, I guess, from someone from the East Coast who doesn't really get to see that. But make no mistake, I still am a fan first of this sport. Like, I think I said when I first started, like, I might cheer for somebody else who's not running enough of that pipe. I might.
Yeah.
Because I was a fan. But yeah, it definitely, we have access to a lot of different things. Not this year, but 2 Anaheim races, a San Diego race, and an Oakland race that happened here. And from a marketing design standpoint, I actually get to sit and touch, or not touch, but you understand what I mean. But they're sitting right next to me. My fan, the person that I'm designing for or we're building product for, he's sitting right next to me. There's not too many sports where you can actually do that.
Yeah.
And anyways, it's special for us in Southern California.
Yeah, no doubt.
No doubt.
And I think that's cool. The reason I asked that is because I was curious if it's something that it's just, it is what it is, or if it is a special attribute in your mind of being a fan of the sport. And it sounds to me like you haven't lost touch of that, to where it's business, it's work, it is what it is. I just live here. It's not that big a deal, man. That's not what it sounds like to me. I mean, you still, you said you fan out when you see certain riders. I mean, I think that's really cool and speaks volume for, as far your character as a fan as well as a professional in the sport.
Right. It's a weird debate. If you're not a fan of the sport, I shouldn't say that. I don't know the right way to say this. If you're not a fan of the sport, then you just might as well be a mailman or something. Whatever.
Yeah.
So, go do something else for,
right.
But when they line up on, whatever, on Saturdays, or, I'm watching the gate, whether I'm at the race or watching on TV, my palms are sweating. I'm like right there with them. Let's do this. Like, I'm right there with them.
Yeah.
And it's just always been that way.
Yeah.
I love it. So
let's talk a little bit about your role, your responsibility at the company. I think FMF is so unique because now it's more than just performance products. It's an apparel line, and like we mentioned before we hit record, there are people that wear the FMF logo on a hat or on a T-shirt or slap the sticker on whatever they can put it on, that can't necessarily afford the performance products, but they still rep the brand. And man, I don't think people understand how hard it is to achieve that status, to where really you guys sell performance products, exhaust systems for motorcycles, but you're way more than that now. You're a clothing brand as well. What is your role and responsibility for those that may not know? Is this guy developing pipes, or where are his hands in the pie? What does that look like for you?
No. Okay. Well, first of all, no, I absolutely do not develop pipes. I couldn't weld to save my life or anything like that. So, no, the way Donnie's set it up is he's made sure, like, and I want to say autonomy, but because it's not, he said, okay, I trust Alex with the apparel side of the brand. Here's kind of how it looks up. We can never forget that what we do, the number one thing we do is make the best exhaust on the planet. That's the number one goal. So in terms of the apparel, you never go through an identity crisis. I've never had to go through an identity crisis like maybe some other apparel brands do. Like, I need to reinvent this thing, or this is getting too stale or something like that, because the identity is bolted on the back of the bikes. So as long as we're having fun, the graphics and the things like that are kind of, Donnie's like, yeah, I like this saying, or let's use this in marketing, or let's do that. We're on track. So my overall, I guess, responsibility is to make sure that the apparel stays on brand, and it starts and stops with Donnie, so that it's not like a committee. And he's my only report to. So that's the main thing for me, is to make sure that it's on brand, and make sure that we're having fun doing it. The apparel looks like we're having fun with it. We're not too serious. There's some other, probably the Moto Space brands that, if you look at the graphics or something like that, you go, wow, this is very serious. Like, they're very serious about what they're doing in terms of the graphics and stuff like that. We kind of have, let's have fun as well with it. And I think it comes out in the brand, and it comes out more like friendlier, easier to buy, and more of a family, I guess. Because I think the apparel side of it is, look, even when we're sitting in the stands next to somebody, essentially it comes down to this: they're riding their dirt bike and they spent up to $1,200 on a full exhaust system. They can't, and they're such fans of the brand, they can't bring their dirt bike to the track or to watch a race, or to a friend's house or whatever. But they certainly can buy a $30 T-shirt or a $25 hat or whatever it is. And that's what that is. It's an extension of, I'm a fan of the brand, I love the pipes, and I want to buy some apparel to go along with it.
Yeah.
So that's that. I guess the probably the majority of it too. A big part of it too is to make sure that it's profitable.
Right. Yeah, of course. You can't have fun with the designs if it's not profitable. So.
Right. That's the other part of it. So.
When we come back, we're going to talk to Alex about some of the projects that he's worked on that he's most proud of. You've got the box behind you, the drop. I want to hear more about that, and then just some more about what it is that you're able to do on a day-to-day basis that you're passionate about within FMF. We'll hear from some of our sponsors of the show. I'll be right back. Hey, I want to tell you about our friends at Flex Racing. Flex Racing is a one-stop shop for all custom designs and products that you need to look good at the racetrack. Flex creates some of the most stunning and custom race day materials available today, designing and manufacturing products that help you represent your team and your sponsors. Products like custom pop-up tents, table covers, chairs, umbrellas, bike graphics, bike mats, even gear bags. And I'm telling you, the gear bags, they're sick. We're going to get some made for Impact and our EMTB team. They're awesome. If you need your name or your logo on it, chances are these guys can take care of it for you. Flex also provides rider and team logos, truck and trailer wrap designs, custom t-shirts, and even jackets. Not only are the designs killer, but my favorite thing, the prices. Right? They care about giving you the best possible price because Flex is entirely made up of riders and racers. They understand how expensive it is to look good and to be professional, so they've tailored the prices on all the products to be as affordable as possible to help privateers, big teams, small teams, everybody in between save the money that you guys need for things like travel, race fees, food, etc. They simply get it, right? Flex Racing's motto is secure the vision. They know that greatness exists in all of us, and they're here to help us bridge the gap between our vision and our reality. So maybe it's time to replace your pop-up from last season, or you need some fresh new gear, or maybe even need to replace those graphics on your bike to display your team logo. Give my friends at Flex Racing a shot. You can check them out at flexracing.com. Let them know that Impact sent you. Let them know that you listen to the Moto Marketing Podcast, and you can save 15%. Hey, big shout out to our friends at FMF. Little D and the guys are always doing some pretty exciting things, not just with the performance products, but man, they've got the coolest apparel in the game, and I want to give you guys an opportunity to get that at a little bit of a discount. If you go to FMF and pick up any gear you'd like, hats, shirts, whatever it is, upon checkout, if you enter the code MMP30, MMP30, you can get 30% off. So MMP30 at checkout and get 30% off your order on FMF apparel. All right, welcome back. We have Alex De La Pena from FMF with us today. We've heard your story about growing up in surf as well as being into moto and just being passionate about this space. And now you're fortunate enough to work with it or work within it. Do you see anything in moto, specifically, I guess, within FMF, that you're able to use just your knowledge of the surf lifestyle and the apparel side of surf that you've been able to take and apply into your daily job and what you're doing at FMF?
Yes, and again, I don't know if I've made this too clear before, but in where I live in San Clemente and even in Southern California, it's very hard to separate, at least these days, surf, or I don't know, moto and a guy who may surf. Like I have a 15-year-old son. We grew up at the beach. We have a golf cart. He can drive down the beach whenever he wants. But he likes to ride a dirt bike, and he likes to mountain bike, but doesn't surf. Mm-hmm. So he has a friend that's really good at surfing and likes to mountain bike, but doesn't ride a dirt bike. So kids these days, and even people around in Southern California, they like to do it all. It's sunny out here a lot. We have a lot of opportunity. There's mountains, there's beach, there's everything like that. So yes, I would say those things do apply in from what I've learned in the surf, skate, whatever, that whole lifestyle. It's basically like there is no such thing as a surfer anymore. There is no such thing as I'm just this, or I'm just even quite frankly a football player. A football player might be really good at riding dirt bikes. So I would just say the versatility of the actual consumer, our end customer. We can't put them in a box. We can't put them in interesting. They might have 2 surfboards and a snowboard and a dirt bike. And we can't underestimate that.
That's interesting because I think, again, where I'm from, we're located in the same town as Racer X, so we're in Morgantown, West Virginia. Culturally, very different than SoCal or NorCal. It's a different world to where the reason I find that interesting is because you see at High Point, right? You go to the race and you see these guys that are wearing, FMF and they're not going to connect the dots on what you just explained, to where a lot of the design influence that goes into this, a lot of the flavor that you may bring to the table has that surf influence. These guys have some of the people here have never seen an ocean, right? They're riding quads, they're riding motorcycles, they're four-wheeling. It is your typical, country boy. A lot of the people that are in this part of the country, which is awesome. They're the greatest people on earth, very friendly, but they I don't think would understand what you just explained. So I think that's really cool for somebody listening to this that might be landlocked, that doesn't understand the influence that out west somebody might ride BMX or might ride mountain bikes, moto, and surf, and in some way that flavor makes its way into the FMF brand. At the end of the day, we get to enjoy on the East Coast, and I think that's really cool.
Sure, we try to, and by the way, when I say interjecting, I don't think we interject a certain culture. I just think there's a certain culture around here that doesn't exclude any different culture. Donnie lives in Huntington Beach. I live in San Clemente. It's just something that we see every day.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, the people in West Virginia and who are into just power sports, period. Like that's what they do.
That's what they do. That's it. They've never pedaled a bike.
Right.
They twist the throttle.
Those guys are the backbone of the consumer. Quite frankly, I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of people in Southern California that just go, hey, yeah, I know everybody. I know Donnie. I've seen Donnie at an event, or I've seen Donnie here, or myself, or whatever, and go, how much? What's my discount? And you go, what do you mean? Like, I don't know. Like the prices. I say this funny thing to some people. I'll be like, hey, the discount code's on the front of your credit card.
Yeah.
And by the way, within the industry, we obviously, everyone takes care of each other, that sort of thing. But cool. I've said this too. There's a lot more Riverside than there is Oceanside. So that encompasses, Midwest and all different places. Just there's more places to ride a dirt bike or quad or whatever it is that you do, something that makes noise and goes fast.
Yeah,
there's a lot of places that to do that. So.
Talk to me about the drop program. Where did that come from? Are you involved with that as well? I think it's subscription box services are like all the rage right now, but I haven't really seen another brand implement that model into their business and do it in a successful way until you guys have done it in Moto, I should say. Talk to me about that project.
Whoa, well, today it definitely is our biggest surprise. I don't know how to say it. It was our biggest undertaking.
Yeah, that's cool.
Donnie one day, this was about 2.5 years ago, says, he says, hey, Alex, I want to do a subscription. To what? Like, what do you mean? What does that even mean? And because obviously there's so much that takes to make it work. I mean, it's not just, I just want to do it and that's it. And I said, I don't know if I can make that happen from a production standpoint, the way it turns and all this different stuff. He said, oh, well, let's figure it out. You know what I mean? So it was really a challenge to me and Donnie, like, we're going to figure this out and how to make it work. And so with talking to vendors, our screen printer, everybody said, hey, if we do this thing like this, what's our price? What's getting all the costings down and stuff like that? And it was really hard. I want to say it was really hard. Donnie and I and another guy who used to work for us, we were literally stamping the first boxes, every single box.
Oh, wow.
Hand stamped, because we wanted to make it work. And we stuck with it and worked out the bugs. And I would say it's arguably one of our best marketing tools that we have. And that's a lot of things with apparel too. It's not just apparel, it's our marketing tool for us when someone's not running, sitting on their bike. And it's been an awesome experience because there's a lot of people that come to us and say, hey, can we partner with you to do this? Like, oh gosh, I had no idea they would even want to partner with us. But so we've had a lot of good opportunities in that, and it's been an overwhelming success. But when Donnie first asked me to look into it and to kind of, I guess for lack of a better term, figure it out and how it's going to work, I was like beside my. I didn't know the answers yet. So, anyways, 2.5 years later, many subscriptions growth. It's definitely a part of our growth in our business. So it's a significant part as well.
Is that one of, if not the most rewarding projects you've worked on, or is there something else that stands out since you've been there for 5 years?
In terms of the success of a product that doesn't exist and then figuring out how to make it work, no doubt it's our best one. The fact that it's every month and we're always either working on sending one out or the next one bringing in, it never goes away. So it's not like we're ever done. It's always something we're still building on and still trying to tweak and make it even better and better and better and better. Yeah, I would say that. I would say from a professional standpoint, moving, because when I first came on, I was actually hired by the licensee of the brand at the time. And then the Emlers, Donnie and his dad, said, we want to take the brand back and have control over everything, control. And being a part of that transition team and kind of being running the point on it for Donnie with, some other help from a great team, moving that over successfully was a very rewarding thing. In terms of like projects, they're all the time. I think the FMF by Fox Moto collab was super satisfying. That was no one saw that coming, I don't think. So that was a very rewarding project. I didn't have any design really in that, but those are some rewarding projects. I don't know, the top of my head. There's a bunch of other ones we did for, designing certain Colt Nichols. When I did Colt Nichols, a little apparel range we did, creating his logo for him. That was really fun project for me, working with him directly, him coming over and working close. There's just little fun things that you get to do with riders and stuff like that.
You mentioned Colt, and that kind of something that I've been noticing with certain riders, and I didn't anticipate bringing this up today, but I think you'd be a really good person to talk to about this. You have certain riders that are, in a way, I think they understand and see the value of creating a brand more than others. And, you have riders like Christian Craig and others that have their vlogs and their merchandise line. And in a way, I'm talking about them. But there's another level to it to where you have people like Bogle, Colt Nichols, that think about what they're wearing into a race and get a photo of it and use that to kind of brand their look, and they try to stand out. And now every rider has their own logo, and that's their Instagram icon. Where do you think that is potentially going in the future? More collabs with a brand like FMF, to where this rider is looked up to not only because they're on track style, but now you've got amateurs trying to replicate their off the track style and things like. I see that potentially going that way just from Instagram culture. I mean, my 17-year-old sister-in-law looks very different than a 17-year-old when I was 17, because they're trying to replicate how they look from people that they look up to because of Instagram. I feel like Colt and Justin, and I use those two because they're friends, they're kind of at the forefront of that, at least in our sport. Are you?
They definitely pioneered something a little different.
Yeah.
Because they definitely went. And first of all, if you look at their style on the bike, they definitely have a little smoother style than a lot of other people.
For sure.
For what it's worth, I don't know if that means that they're faster or whatever, but it's definitely, you can tell it's Colt style when he's riding. I love that part about him. Now flip that back when he walks into the stadium or whatever, into the pits, wearing a new pair of sneakers, a very thought out outfit for, I think they just said, hey, look, if that's how NBA players are at the very top echelon, or they're getting filmed through the tunnel and showing what their style is off the court, when they don't have to be wearing an NBA logo jersey and Nike sneakers or whatever it is, this is what I look like at home. I think the fans just eat it up because they just go, no, I want that shoe. Look how Colt did this. And he walked in with style. And same thing with Bogle. I mean, it's almost like a competition with those two, which was really cool as well. Kids pick up on that, man. Just like, there's no doubt. And their followers pick up on that. They know that they have a sense of style and look, that's part of their brain.
Do you guys pay attention to that at any capacity and use that as inspiration of it? I'm talking even cuts. Like, I'm wearing a shirt, one of the short sleeves that has a hood, and it's a longer cut shirt. I mean, have you guys considered even doing more of that? I don't know the right term for hype beast type, more than just the standard cut T-shirts, because you see people like Colt and Justin maybe pushing that envelope a little bit.
Look, I think when we talked about, look, we have a customer that ranges all from the West Coast to the East Coast and then international as well. And we also have an age group that's literally from, 10 years old to 60 years old.
Sure.
That we, from the FMF, like, let's just say regular styles, no, we don't really mess around with the cut and fit so much, mostly because we like a lot of consistency. Mm-hmm. And if you order a large from this T-shirt, you order a large in this one, it's going to fit the same way. Yeah. So we don't like to do that too much. That being said, within collaborations or even the drop program, we do use a little different T-shirt or a little different fit or a little different things like that. With Colt, he wanted to make sure, he wanted to touch what the T-shirt looked like. He wanted to feel it. He wanted to make sure this is what it felt like. That's right. So within collaborations, I would say that allows us to use that, or we can say, explain exactly what this is. This is a longer cutter. This is whatever it is. But for the bulk of the program, we like consistency across the board, so that, like I said, when you or anybody else buys an FMF product, of size large, extra large, whatever it is, they know they can get whatever style they choose. It'll fit.
That's cool.
But with an e-commerce channel too, it's very easy to buy our product because it's the same.
Right. What's next? Is there anything that you guys can say details on that's coming around the corner, or that you can't talk about, but is there something coming that the fans could be excited about going into 2021? We can use any type of good news we can get right now. So anything the fans can look forward to in the future.
Look, I was talking to my sales manager last night, and this is after work, where I'm like, let's just talk about the positive things that are going on. First of all, there are things that I can and can't talk about that we're going. If you know if you spoke with Donnie, you know him at any point, he never stops pushing what we can do and looking for white space in the moto space, if you will. And so yes, we do have some things that are going to be launching here on this side of the year that we're really stoked about. It's on the more really focused on for our dealers and another kind of bolt on to the apparel side. And it's really good news. And and then we have some other things coming in 2021 as well that I think will make people just go, you guys are looking forward. Mm-hmm. And I think for us, we didn't see a dip in sales through all of this, at least I'm going to speak purely from the apparel side. Matter of fact, about a month in, it was all of a sudden from dealers and stuff like that, a month into the COVID, I should say. We want more product. Show us more product. How fast can we get product? How fast can we get more product? How fast can we get more product? Which was good for us. That's great news. And that said a lot to me, not just about our brand, but for the sport in general. Is we want our racing back. We want our brands back. We don't want them to go away. We want them to be here. And the consumers stepped up and said, we're going to watch racing. We're going to buy product. We're going to do this stuff. And it's been awesome to see. But yes, in terms of projects we have coming, we have some stuff.
Awesome. And we're recording this, let's see, what is today's date? November the 18th. So if you're listening to this and you're getting confused about when is it coming, we're recording this just before Thanksgiving of 2020. So, man, it's been interesting, learning about you, and then I've gotten to know you just through your work with my team, and my team loves working with you guys on all the projects. They're always exciting, and it's always something fresh and fun, and we certainly appreciate that, and that's why I wanted to bring you on and let you kind of tell your story, because I know there's so much that goes on, and there's so many people beyond the faces of the companies that have their hands in really cool projects. And I think the Drop is a good example of one that you've had your hands in, and that it's more than just Donnie doing all of this stuff. He's got a really talented team, and you're one of those guys. So, man, I certainly appreciate it. And for anybody that hasn't jumped on the subscription for the Drop, where's the best way or place for them to be able to go learn more about that and see some of the past things you guys have done and sign up for that?
You can just go to fmfracing.com. I think we have a direct drop link there, and sign up. The great part about it is you never know what you're going to get in your box. And I will say that we have some amazingly exciting drops coming up in the next few months.
Yeah, if you're listening, you got to watch the episode, because you can see it on your face. You're like, I want to say something.
That's all I can say is if you ever wanted to sign up, I would say sign up now.
That's awesome. I think that's a pretty good hint. I can see the excitement on your face. So, man, I appreciate it. It's been cool hearing your story and the things that you've done since being there just in 5 years, and I'm excited to see what's to come. And, man, we certainly appreciate having you on, and hopefully when we're out of this mess and I'm able to come to the West Coast, we're able to come by and check out the FMF in the flesh, and we'll be good to see you guys in person.
It would be great. And thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And hopefully everybody got something out of what the heck I had to say.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate it. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to the Moto Marketing Podcast. If your goal is to get real, measurable results from your marketing that will grow your company revenue, then check out how Impact Media can get the same results that they have for Moto's most iconic brands by visiting thinkimpact.com. That's THINKIMPAKT.com. Have a marketing question that you want answered on the show? Send your questions to questions@motomarketingpodcast.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast.